The rain hammered against the windows of my condo in downtown Seattle, mirroring the storm raging inside me. Barnaby, a 43-year-old architect, stared blankly at the half-finished blueprint on my drafting table. It was a community center, a project I'd poured my heart into, a symbol of hope and connection. But right now, all I felt was a gaping void. My wife, Isolde, a vibrant and successful marketing executive, was supposed to be at a conference in Chicago, or so I thought. The lie unraveled like a cheap sweater, one loose thread at a time. It started subtly. Isolde had always been meticulous about her appearance, but lately there was a new air of urgency. More frequent trips to the salon, a new perfume that I didn't recognize, a certain sparkle in her eye that wasn't directed at me. I dismissed it, attributing it to the pressures of her demanding job. Isolde worked long hours, and I admired her ambition. We'd been married for 15 years, a seemingly solid foundation built on love, trust, and mutual respect. Or so I believed. The first real crack appeared 2 weeks ago. Isolde claimed she had a late meeting with a client, so I decided to surprise her with dinner at her favorite Italian restaurant. When I arrived, her office was dark, the lights off, and the security guard informed me that she had left hours ago. I called her, but she didn't answer. When she finally did, her voice was breathy, flustered. She stammered about the meeting running late and then abruptly ending. I didn't press her, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Then came the email. It was a simple mistake, a forwarded message inadvertently sent to my inbox instead of hers. The sender was listed as Javier Riverfront Project. The subject line read, "Can't wait until Friday." The message itself was short, but the implications were devastating. Counting down the hours until I can hold you in my arms again. Chicago will be ours. Chicago, her conference. Javier. My stomach churned. I knew a Javier who worked in her company, a young, ambitious project manager. He was charming, handsome, the kind of guy who effortlessly attracted attention. I had met him a few times at company events, and Isolde had always been unusually friendly with him. I felt a cold dread creep over me. I reread the email, each word a poisoned dart piercing my heart. I wanted to deny it, to dismiss it as a misunderstanding, but deep down I knew the truth. My wife was cheating on me. The next few days were a blur of disbelief, anger, and a crushing sense of betrayal. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I replayed our entire marriage in my head, searching for clues, for signs that I had missed. Had I been blind? Had I been so focused on my work that I had neglected her? I decided I needed proof. I couldn't confront her based on a single email. I needed concrete evidence, something undeniable. I felt like a character in a bad detective novel, but I knew I had to know the truth, no matter how painful. I hired a private investigator, a gruff, no-nonsense woman named Mallory. I provided her with Isolde's itinerary, Javier's contact information, and a photograph of them both. Mallory assured me she would be discreet and thorough. The next few days were agonizing. I tried to act normal, to maintain a facade of normalcy for Isolde's sake, but it was a struggle. Every smile, every touch felt like a lie. I found myself scrutinizing her every move, searching for telltale signs of guilt. Finally, Mallory called. Her voice was grim. "I have the evidence you requested, Mr. Barnaby. It's not good." I met her at a coffee shop near my office. She handed me a thick envelope filled with photographs. I braced myself and opened it. The images were explicit, undeniable. Isolde and Javier holding hands at the airport, kissing passionately in a restaurant, entering a hotel room together. The photographs were like a punch to the gut, each one a searing indictment of my wife's betrayal. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. The world seemed to spin. I closed my eyes, trying to block out the images, but they were seared into my memory. My wife, the woman I loved, the woman I had built my life with, was having an affair. I thanked Mallory, paid her, and stumbled out of the coffee shop. I walked aimlessly through the city, the rain soaking me to the bone. I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing. All I knew was that my life had been irrevocably shattered. When Isolde returned from Chicago, she was glowing, refreshed. She greeted me with a warm hug and a kiss, completely oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I forced myself to smile, to act normal, but the effort was excruciating. "How was the conference?" I asked, my voice tight. "Oh, it was great," she said, her eyes sparkling. "I learned so much. And Chicago is such a beautiful city, I wanted to scream to confront her with the photographs to unleash my rage and pain, but I held back. I wanted to do this right, to confront her on my terms. That evening after dinner, I sat Isolde down in the living room. I took a deep breath and pulled the envelope from behind the couch. I handed it to her without a word. She looked at me, puzzled. "What's this? Open it," I said, my voice flat. She opened the envelope and began to look at the photographs. Her face paled, her eyes widening in horror. She dropped the photographs on the floor, her hands trembling. "Barnaby," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "Don't," I said, cutting her off. "Don't even try to explain. I know everything." Tears streamed down her face. "I don't know what to say." "Say you're sorry," I said, my voice trembling with anger. "Say you regret it. Say something, anything, to make me believe that our marriage meant something to you." "I am sorry," she sobbed. "So sorry, it just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far, it just happened," I repeated, my voice rising. "You just happened to fall into bed with another man. You just happened to lie to my face for weeks. You just happened to betray everything we've built together." She didn't answer. She just sat there, sobbing, her face buried in her hands. "Who is he?" I asked, my voice cold. "Javier, right? The project manager." She nodded, her shoulders shaking. "How long has this been going on?" "A few months," she whispered. "A few months." The words echoed in my head. A few months of lies, deception, and betrayal. A few months of me being a fool, a cuckold, completely oblivious to what was happening right under my nose. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice firm. "I want you out of this house. I don't want to see you again." "Barnaby, please," she begged. "Don't do this. We can work through this. I promise I'll never see him again." "It's too late," I said. "You've broken my trust, Isolde. You've shattered my heart. I can never forgive you." She left that night, taking only a suitcase filled with clothes. As I watched her drive away, I felt a strange mix of emotions: anger, sadness, relief. Relief that the charade was over, that the truth was finally out in the open. But also a deep, profound sadness for the loss of what we had, for the dreams that had been shattered. The divorce was swift and brutal. Isolde didn't contest it. She knew she was in the wrong. I got the condo, the savings, everything. I didn't care about the money. All I wanted was to be free of her, to start over. But starting over was harder than I thought. The pain of betrayal lingered, a constant ache in my chest. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I lost weight, became withdrawn. My friends tried to help, to offer support, but I pushed them away. I just wanted to be alone, to wallow in my misery. One day I received a package in the mail. It was a thick file addressed to me in plain handwriting. I opened it cautiously. Inside I found documents, photographs, and a handwritten letter. The letter was from Javier's wife, a woman named Filomena. In the letter, Filomena explained that she had suspected Javier of having an affair for months. She had hired a private investigator of her own and had uncovered not only his affair with Isolde, but also a pattern of infidelity that stretched back years. Javier was a serial cheater, a master manipulator who preyed on vulnerable women. Filomena had included evidence of Javier's other affairs, along with details of his shady business dealings. He had been embezzling money from his company, using it to fund his lavish lifestyle and his affairs. As I read the letter, I felt a surge of anger, not just at Isolde and Javier, but at myself. I had been so blinded by love, so trusting, that I had failed to see the truth. I had been a fool, but then something shifted. The anger began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of clarity. I realized that I couldn't let Isolde and Javier destroy me. I couldn't let their betrayal define my life. I had to move on, to rebuild, to find happiness again. I decided to take action. I contacted the authorities and provided them with the evidence of Javier's embezzlement. He was arrested a few weeks later and charged with multiple counts of fraud. His career was ruined, his reputation tarnished. I also contacted Isolde. I didn't want revenge, but I felt she deserved to know the truth about Javier. I sent her a copy of Filomena's letter and the evidence of his other affairs. I didn't expect her to thank me, but I felt a sense of closure knowing that she knew the kind of man she had been involved with. I started focusing on my work again, pouring my energy into the community center project. I found solace in the creative process, in the act of building something beautiful and meaningful. I started exercising, eating healthy, taking care of myself. I reconnected with my friends, started dating again. It wasn't easy. There were still moments of sadness, of doubt, of anger, but I refused to let those moments consume me. I learned to forgive, not just Isolde, but myself. I learned that betrayal doesn't have to define you, that you can emerge from the ashes stronger and more resilient than before. I eventually fell in love again with a woman named Orlia. She was kind, compassionate, and fiercely independent. She understood my past, my pain, and loved me for who I was, flaws and all. We built a new life together, a life based on honesty, trust, and mutual respect. Isolde never reached out again. I heard through mutual friends that she had moved to another city, started a new job. I don't know if she ever found happiness, but I hope she did. I hope she learned from her mistakes, that she became a better person. My story is not a story of revenge or retribution. It's a story of survival, of resilience, of finding hope in the face of despair. It's a story of learning to forgive, to let go, and to embrace the possibility of a new beginning. It's a story of finding love again, a love that is stronger and more meaningful than anything I had known before.